Hello, welcome back. I'm John, old YouTuber. That's a package with my first steam engine. That should be a Willesco D16. So, but I did not finish reading this brand, English steam engine brand, Mamod. I don't know how you say it, Mamod. Got to page 11. Actually, I saw on the Danish blue papers where you buy second-hand stuff. There was few of this Mammoth steam engines, but I did spend 2,500 Danish kroners from my small saving around I don't know how much, $400. I took $400 from my small saving. I did buy two small steam engine. I did buy water, and I did buy this Esprit, this hexamine tablets to make fire below the steam engines. I did buy 3 packets. But there should be a package of this Esprit fire tablets, alcohol tablets should be into there too. But there's a little bit noise in my backyard because they're cutting a small tree, so I'm waiting to unbox when they're going up from work in 3 hours. That means I'm not sleeping enough the last many days, and I'm old man. But of course I like to unbox, but I do that in English. And I need to use this camcorder. So let's just finish this PDF. Then I need to save the power on this camcorder to my unboxing. But I like to buy some of this brand. I will buy some of this Mammoth steam engines later, but not now. I think this Willesco, this German Willesco brand, they look kind of nicer. So let's just continue reading from here.
A blue SW1 wagon from 1988 and a green SW1 wagon from 1973. A 1988 blue SW1 steam wagon minus the bodywork, showing the double reduced drive and chassis. Affording the model more pulling power. A live rear axle, only one wheel is driven, has distinctive diamond-spoked wheels, closely based on a Foden design. The wagon is sometimes referred to as the Foden wagon. The model has red wheels and a blue, green or brown body, with a white quarter-length canopy over the engine and boiler. The model has details such as mudguards and an optional cargo of barrels. More recently, limited edition models have been made in a darker shade of green as well as black. Other variations to the SW1 include a blue version of the model, with white lettering on the rear payload body as opposed to the standard gold lettering. An alternative color scheme is carried by the SW1B model. Here, the model has deep brown bodywork and cream wheels. Recently, a limited edition version was produced for Forest Classics using an all-black color scheme. 100 were produced. The steam wagon is still in production today, 2012, and is still regarded by many as the company's finest mobile. Early steam wagons were produced in green, with a METHS vaporizing burner. Around 1977, they adopted solid fuel pan burners and by 1978 had a sight glass instead of the usual overflow plug, with blue paint replacing the green. In the early 2000s the brown version was produced. The engine is fitted with the usual spring-loaded whistle as well as steering gear from the Tier 1A. The rear scuttle, set up for holding the burner, is exactly the same as on the SR and Tier models, but it fits snugly between the two girder chassis parts. At about 6 pound, 2.7 kilograms, in weight, the SW1 steam wagon still represents a lot of model for the money and is still a firm favorite amongst collectors. An updated limited edition of the steam wagon was issued in 2022 to commemorate the 50th anniversary of original introduction. Showman's engine. This is another model based on the Tijuana in the form of a Showman's road locomotive. Like the real-life Showman's engines, it uses the basic form of a traction engine with the addition of a dynamo and a few aesthetic details. The Showman's model has twisted brass canopy supports, a non-functional chain steering drum and a typical bright paint scheme with a maroon boiler and yellow wheels. The main mechanical differences between the Showman's and the Tijuana are the dynamo and the fitting of a solid flywheel to the former model. The dynamo is mounted over the smoke box and powers a series of LEDs fitted around the canopy. It is driven by a drive band from the flywheel Centurion Tijuana AC. The Centurion is a larger, more powerful version of the Tijuana model, but fitted with Mamod's piston valve engine, as used on the SP6 SP8 engines. In other respects it is the same as the earlier model, with the same layout and green/red color scheme Challenger SR1 AC. The Challenger is the steamroller version of Centurion. As with the other rollers, it has been adapted by having an extended front frame carrying the front roller and larger solid rear wheels. Unlike the earlier steamroller model, it has a full-length canopy like the traction engine models. Showman's Special. This is the Showman's version of the Centurion model. It has the same added details as the Tijuana-based Showman S model and the same color scheme. Roadster SA1. An early roadster dating from 1976 showing overflow plug-type boiler and 6-spoke artillery wheels. This is a model of a two-seater roadster-style car, possibly based on the look and style of a Mans Racer LM1 from the early 20th century. The model first appeared in late 1976 and was designed by Steve Mullins with input from George Morris. The first versions were finished in red and white with black upholstery, still available, although newer versions have recently appeared with green/brass or burgundy/brass finishes. A silver four-seater limousine, based on the Roadster, is also a popular model appearing in the 1980s. The boiler cover forms the bonnet of the car with the sight glass for checking water level being the radiator grille. Early versions sported the traditional overflow plug, which was replaced by the sight glass in 1978 to conform with the new Euro 2 regulations. The earliest Roadsters were METHS-fired, appearing in late 1976. From about 1977, all models used a steel pan-type solid fuel burner, although the older steel pan METHS burners still fitted. The oscillating cylinder engine is mounted externally on the left-hand side of the model and incorporates a simple forward and reverse lever like that used on the SE2 and MEC1 stationary engines. The unit drives, via a shaft, a small solid flywheel, mounted externally on the right-hand side. Again, a distinguishing feature of early models is the split drive with final drive on the left-hand side, as opposed to later, and current, models where the drive is all on the right. This shaft drives rear axle by a power band. This arrangement allows a slightly higher road speed than the SW1 wagon but makes the model much slower than the Tijuana traction engine, which was ridiculously too fast. This chassis and layout is used on other mobiles in the Mamod ranges such as the #1 London Bus, FE1 fire engine, SA1L limousine as well as the DV1/2 vans. The early wheels are in the style of wooden carriage wheels, as found on cars of the period. These were known as artillery wheels, with solid rubber tires. Later models used a redesigned wheel which was based upon the design used for the Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost. Details such as running boards, spare wheel and carriage lamps are also fitted. Silver limousine SA1L. This is a model of an Edwardian-style limousine, similar to the Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost. It is finished in grey/silver paint with black upholstery and hood, and is based on the SA1. The limo is also available in a different color scheme, with maroon bodywork and brass/gold wheels. This is designated the SA1B. Fire engine FE1. A Mamod FE1 fire engine. The model uses the standard chassis with front-mounted boiler and mid-mounted oscillating engine, but the rear body carries a turntable ladder complete with exposed cranking wheels. The model is painted bright red with polished chrome work, and is similar in appearance to fire engine S produced by Leyland in the 1920s. Delivery van DV1 and DV2. This model represents a typical British light commercial vehicle of the interwar period. It has an enclosed rear body with twin rear opening doors and an open driving position. It is painted dark green, DV1, or dark blue, DV2, with brass detailing and carries a Mamod livery. Post office van PO1. This is based on the DV1 model, but has an extended rear body and an enclosed driving position. Like real post office vans of the period, it is painted red with black mudguards, wheels and bonnet. It carries the GR Royal insignia, presumably dating it to the reign of King George V. Le Mans Racer LM1. This model represents a typical Edwardian or interwar two-seat racing car used for long-distance races such as Le Mans 24-hour race. Whilst using the same basic chassis and layout as the Roadster and limo, it has a two-cylinder unidirectional engine, with external cylinders on each side of the chassis to provide more power. It has an open cockpit with an aerodynamic sloped rear end. It is painted with either red or blue, and too often green, very rare, bodywork, including fenders and wheels, with a chrome boiler cowl. It carries the racing number 12. Although the model uses the same running gear and pistons as the other engines in the range, it is actually the fastest in the mobile Mamod lineup. This particular model is suitable for a radio control receiver to be fitted, to control the steering mechanism. London Bus #1. Introduced in 1989 as the flagship of the Mamod mobile range, the London Bus is based on an early double-decker design such as the Lgok X type. It carries the livery of the London General Omnibus Company and carried Mamod adverts in the style of the Edwardian period. It has red bodywork and black wheels, shares the distinctive spoked rear wheels with the steam wagon model, see above, and has an open top deck with an open rear staircase. It is available also in a green livery. Mamod Meteor and Conqueror boats. These two models were commercially unsuccessful and were only produced for a short time. The Meteor was a steam-powered boat in the style of a Second World War torpedo boat and sold about 1,500 units. The Conqueror was an electrically powered version of the Meteor using a Frog Rev Master motor. Both models used the same hull, which was of all-steel construction. The Meteor used a single-cylinder engine similar to the Me-1. The Conqueror used a battery instead, with a slight redesign in a hull accommodating the 4D type cells in a metal holder. The motor itself drove the stern tube prop shaft by means of a spring steel belt and pulley. It was Mamod's only venture into electrical power, but was even less successful than the Meteor, selling about 200 units for the same price as the steam version. Both models were dropped in 1952, making them much sought after by collectors. Me-1, Me-2 and Me-3 marine steam engines, 5. And Me-1 marine engine from 1958 complete with box, instructions and filler funnel. A very rare Mamod Me-2 from 1958 showing the upright engine unit and Rotham's Potboiler. A Hobby's arrow named Eldor, each showing the inner workings with a Mamod Me-2 steam power plant. A Mamod Me-3 from 1965, show Injit's sail engine unit. complete with original shield-type burner. Despite the failure of the Mamod Meteor and Conqueror boats, 1949-52, Mans engineers introduced the Mi-1, similar to the pre-war Mi-1 built with the vaporizing spirit lamp, and the Mi-2 in 1958. These marine engines were as applied for fitment into model boats of about 24 in, 0.61 m, long. The manufacturer claimed about 15 minutes of fast steaming per filling. The engines were finished in polished brass, chromium plate and red and green paint, with a methylated spirit vaporizing spirit lamp providing the heat source. The Mi-1 was a direct drive engine. The boiler was 1.75 in, 44 mm, in diameter. The cylinder size was 0.75 in, 19 mm, stroke B5 forward/16 inch, 8 mm, bore, driving a two-blade 1.25 in, 32 mm, diameter propeller. The Mi-2 was introduced in 1958 at the same time as the Mi-1. Dimensions of this engine are the same as Mi-3, except that it had a Mamod upright engine as opposed to the sail upright engine used in Theme 3. The Mi-2 was not particularly successful and was replaced by the Mi-3 in 1965. The fact that Theme 1 represented a complete engine unit, whilst the Mi-2 basically was the boiler and engine unit, probably worked against their success. The Mi-3 was basically similar to the Mi-2 equipped with a heavier duty engine unit, and sail 1560 steam launch unit, designed to turn a bigger propeller. The unit used the Mi-1 boiler butt, with a stroke of a half in, 12.5 mm, and a bore of 7 forward/16 in, 11 mm. The engine could drive a 1.5 in, 38 mm, diameter 3-bladed propeller through a dogged pulley arrangement as opposed to the stern tube system used by the Mi-1. Like most of the marine engines made by Mamod, the sail engine lacked a lubricator and needed careful setting up to work correctly. The Mi-3 was in production from 1965 to 1972, by which time, and after 2,700 units, all the sail engines that Mans engineers had purchased at a knockdown price from J&L Randall, parent of the sail brand, had been used up. Mamod Steam Railway. Mamod 16mm gauge live steam railway. In late 1979 Mamod introduced its first model railway, the O-gauge live steam SL1 locomotive, along with a small range of rolling stock and track. The model was of a narrow gauge railway, and although it was not based on a specific prototype, it was to approximately 16mm scale, thus representing approximately a 2-foot, 610mm, gauge railway. The Mamod Steam Railway, as it was known, was the first cheap mass-produced live steam set in the United Kingdom, and it sold well. Mamod quickly increased the range with further locomotives, the SL2 and SL3, available in ready-to-run and kit form and in both 32mm and 45mm gauges. The locomotives used a pair of double-acting, oscillating cylinders connected to a rotary reversing valve. This, in theory, allowed the lockers to run slowly, and to self-start. Special edition locomotives, further rolling stock and points were also made. The current range consists of redesigned versions, although still in the same basic configuration. Many upgrades, both mechanical and cosmetic, are available to upgrade Mamod locomotives. In 2006, two other companies were producing models based on the original Mamod locomotive designs. MSS, Mamod Sales and Services, continues to manufacture and sell the basic locomotive and stock, as well as a new saddle tank model introduced in 2004. Mamod Steam Models produces a wide range of Mamod models, including an upgraded version of the SL1 locomotive design with improved running gear. In addition, the basic design of the Mamod has inspired several improved versions supplied by independent manufacturers. Notable amongst there are the Creekside Forge and Foundry Baldwin, the PPS Janet and the IP Engineering Jane. Several manufacturers